Okay, we've got a cream interior door and we're going to paint it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out all the grooves with a wet cloth, not damp. And then I'm going to take off the hardware, that way I don't have to cut in around it and I've got an open space. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the dust out from these seams. I'm actually going to use my paintbrush. It's not wet. Just kind of go through here like this. Break that dust up. And then with the damp microfiber, I'm going to wipe them all off. And then I'm going to take away the hardware, the hinges along with the doorknob. That way I don't have to cut in. All right, the easiest way to avoid brush strokes when painting a door is not using a brush. So we're going to use a sponge roller. We might use a sponge brush to get out excess paint around the corners and the edges, but we'll see. We're going to do a couple different things. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to roll all the flat surfaces with the sponge brush, and then I'm going to go through the corners and get all that excess up through there and smooth that out. And then that way I can come back and with more detail, if I need to spread it out a little bit more evenly, I can. Okay, you see I got some light and dark spots here. I can go back with my sponge brush and kind of smooth those runs out a little bit. What I'm going to do is I recommend doing a second coat. One of the things that I failed to mention is when you're painting this with a sponge roller, make sure that you're going to get with the grain, not against the grain. Make sure you're painting this direction, or like in this case with the grain going that way, you're going to want to roll in that direction. But all turned out well. Like I said, I'm going to do a couple of coats on it, at least two. But you can see with these, the paint gets in these grooves here, and with that sponge brush, I can come in and smooth those out a little bit, like in there. And I'm doing that so there's not a lot of buildup around these edges and corners. Okay, it seems to be drying well, but like I said earlier, you can still see where I've got some light and dark spots. So I'm absolutely going to do a second coat. But all in all, I don't have a lot of runs in the grain. I don't have any runs in the corners. I made sure that those stay clean. Okay, that second coat really made the door look a lot better. I still have a few soft spots like there, but I want to wait and see how that dries. And then I'll do a final coat on it, and it'll be a really light coat. I'll go over everything one more time, and then that should blend everything in. You can see I still have a few little run spots. So I'll just smooth that out. And that way when I roll over it with the sponge roller again, it won't show up. So I'm gonna let this dry and then I'll be back. All right, now that this side is dry, I'm gonna flip it over and do the exact same thing. All right, this turned out really well. I don't see any drips really to speak of. Bare spots, it all seemed to dry really evenly. When I turned it over and painted the other side, it had a little bit of tackiness, so when I turned it around, I had a couple spots that I went back and touched up, but all in all, I'm happy with the result. So now I'm gonna put the hardware back on and I'm gonna hang the door. All right, so now my door's hung. I've got the natural light in the bathroom opened up and I can see some spots that the light hits and it's not even. So now I'm just gonna go back and I'm gonna hit those areas on both sides and then I'm done. All right, now I'm gonna let my door dry with those areas and it should look fine. It's well worth taking your time and doing this right. This took me probably 2 hours off and on. Real time that I most likely spent was probably about 45 minutes. You just wanna wait, make sure everything dries. That way the drips stay minimal. All right, well, I appreciate you watching. Thanks.